Welcome to Bi-Monthly Bull, the show where everybody keeps complaining about this microphone not being plugged in because it ruins the immersion. But nobody seems to have noticed that every piece of this set is strategically placed to trick you into forgetting that this is a low-budget operation running from my fucking bedroom. I'm your host, Lewis Spears. The skyline behind me is just a green screen, and I still live with my parents. But that's okay, because the intro looks expensive. In our first story tonight, Pewdiepie, unsatisfied with destroying monetization for YouTubers, now sets his sights on ruining it for streamers as well. During a recent stream, while playing a video game, Pewdiepie called another player a fucking...
What a fucking nigger. Jeez, oh my god, what the fuck? Sorry, but what the fuck?
This resulted in the game's developer publicly committing to taking down any kind of gameplay of their games that features similar language no matter who it's from. Some streamers are now worried that a backlash could affect streaming revenue. We reached out to Pewdiepie for a statement, and he had this to say. After causing the YouTube adpocalypse with anti-Semitism and taking down video game streaming with racial slurs, I am now looking forward to fucking up podcast monetization with homophobia. After that, I'll be wrecking sponsored Instagram posts with animal abuse. And then for my grand finale, I'll be beheading a small child for YouTube Rewind. Then it goes on to say, ha ha ha, I have 57 million subs and I don't give a fuck anymore. Suck my dick. I'm unstoppable. Brofist. What a fucking legend. Over to Twitter now, where a feminist group called Women's March recently celebrated the birthday of a woman called Assata Shakur. They posted a photo of her on Twitter and called her a feminist icon. Problem is, Assata Shakur is a convicted cop killer, bank robber, and grenade attacker. She escaped from prison, fled to Cuba, and was the first woman to ever be placed on the FBI's most wanted list for terrorism. In response to the overwhelming backlash they received, Women's March had this to say. Assata Shakur's resistance tactics were different from ours. That does not mean we do not respect her anti-sexism work. Basically meaning, so what if she's killed a few cops? Who hasn't? I mean, as long as you hate the wage gap while you're blowing the brains out of innocent bystanders, you can still be a feminist icon. In completely unrelated news, the Cooking Channel has recently announced their new flagship cooking show will be hosted by the recently resurrected leader of the Third Reich, Nazi Germany, Adolf Hitler. Now, the Cooking Channel has received some criticism for putting the man behind the Holocaust in front of a camera, but they've responded to the criticism by saying this. Adolf Hitler's political tactics were different than ours. That does not mean we do not like the taste of his delicious apple strudel. In Australian news now, the government has officially launched a countrywide postal vote to let the people decide whether or not same-sex couples should be allowed to legally marry. The politicians in favour of traditional marriage are really banking on the idea that young people don't give a fuck about anything enough to actually leave the house and post a letter like we're living in the Stone Age. Unfortunately for them, just about the only thing that young people give a fuck about is who they can give a fuck to. And within the first week, over 65,000 new people enrolled to vote just so they could have their say, which could completely change the course of how this thing will go. Many progressive media outlets have thrown their support behind same-sex marriage. MTV went off air for 24 hours to show their support for gay marriage. Unfortunately for them, nobody really noticed until they started posting about it on Twitter because nobody fucking watches MTV. Vice also joined the media blackout by shutting shutting down their website for 3 hours. Ironically though, this proved to be one of the strongest arguments against gay marriage the world has ever seen, causing many of the LGBT community themselves to vote no in the hopes that Vice will shut down their website forever. Former Prime Minister Tony Abbott has made good on his private promise to himself to stop giving a fuck anymore by admitting on television that he did miss a governmental vote because he was so drunk that he passed out during the vote and was unable to make it to the booth. This was in Parliament House in front of all of his colleagues and all of the opposition. The Australian public have reacted to this shocking admission by demanding that Tony Abbott immediately resign from Australian politics and immediately assume the mantle of King Sick Cunt. Because a politician who gets blackout drunk at work is a politician who truly understands the Australian people. Get this man a fucking crown. Earlier in the month, the very first VidCon came to Australia. VidCon is the world's largest convention that focuses on YouTube creators. Many popular Australian creators were officially invited to VidCon and provided with special all-access passes that would enable them to go to VIP areas where they can mingle with other large creators and talk to industry bigwigs. I was not officially invited to VidCon and I was not provided with one of these all-access passes, but that hasn't stopped me before. So please do enjoy this exclusive look at the very first Australian VidCon, including all of the places we weren't allowed to go. We're outside the very first VidCon ever in Australia, and for $200 a ticket, you know it's going to be packed with a lot of exciting things and many celebrity YouTubers. So let's go inside and see how good it is. Over here behind me is the most popular VidCon attraction. It's the 5-hour line simulator. At the end of the line, you can spend $200 to get a ticket, which is the same price as the American VidCon for 10% of the value. As you can see, VidCon Australia is absolutely packed with thousands of things to do this year. We're here at the Parents Lounge for VidCon. It's full of tea, coffee, and suicide prevention pamphlets for parents of disappointing children. One of the most popular attractions at VidCon was this wall, where people could write their signature. While looking for a place to sign my own name, I spotted a signature by former teen sensation Reese Maston, who won X Factor in 2011 and then faded into obscurity. Perfect! After signing the wall, it was time to meet some of my fans.
Hey bro, how you going? Will I be able to get you in my video?
Yeah, of course, man. What's your channel?
JR Visuals.
No one subscribed. That was fun. Now let's check out the VIP areas. We're in the VIP lounge at VidCon. You're only allowed in here if you have an all-access pass. Anyone with a creator's pass will be denied entry. While we were in the VIP section, I was asked to do a live-streamed interview with some brand I had never heard of. But that's okay, because clearly they had never heard of me either.
And you're a YouTube creator as well.
Yes, I am, yeah.
And what's the channel all about?
It's a beauty channel, so I usually do things like hair, a little bit of makeup and things like that, and also a little bit of cooking stuff. If you thought the Emoji Movie was bad, try Connect 4 with Facebook Reacts. 2 thumbs down. As you can see, the VIP lounge sucked, so we went back to the main hall, where this happened. Is that a YouTuber or a terrorist attack? Here's a fun game. Let's count the booths and see how much $200 gets you. 1, 2, 3. This isn't really a booth, it's more just a map. So this is, 3.5. This booth is selling YouTuber merch, so that's -1. And a jumping castle, despite the fact everyone over here is over 10 years old. So I'm deducting all points. Sucks, man. $200, PewDiePie wasn't even there.
Wait, can I get a photo, man?
Fuck off, mate. Back to you, Lewis. Thanks, Lewis. And that brings us to the end of this episode. But before we go, a very quick message from our only sponsor, me. Next month, I'm touring New Zealand with my stand-up comedy show. These are my debut international performances and the first time I've ever been to New Zealand to perform. So I think they're going to be fun, and we're only doing small rooms, so tickets are selling fast. I'm also bringing my good friend and brilliant stand-up comedian, Mr. Luke Kidgel, with me to open all of the shows. So it's definitely going to be a good night. I can't wait to be there. All of the information to get tickets are below and in the comment section as well. If you like this video, please do subscribe, give me a thumbs up, and I will see you in 2 weeks.